Andy Ruiz Jr. knocking out Anthony Joshua, the New York Giants winning the 2008 Super Bowl, Leicester City winning the Premier League. These are just some examples of massive upsets from the wider sporting world. Wrestling has also seen its fair share of underdog victories, with some leading to significant career upsurges for the winning party. Unfortunately, not everyone can be the 1-2-3 kid after beating Razor Ramon, as these 10 unfortunate souls demonstrated. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 huge WWE upset wins that led to nothing. Join us. Number 10, Heath Slater beats Seth Rollins on Raw. In the aftermath of Seth Rollins introducing his good friend the Steel Chair to Roman Reigns' back, the newly minted baddie began a feud with former Shield buddy Dean Ambrose, with the two set for a match at SummerSlam 2014. The stipulation was set to be chosen by the winner of a Beat the Clock challenge on Raw. Ambrose had beaten Alberto Del Rio in about 15 minutes earlier that night, so all Rollins had to do was win his match in less time. And who was his opponent? Perennial jobber Heath Slater. Classic heel tactics, that. In a delightful turn of events, Ambrose distracted his nemesis, allowing the former 3MB man to roll Rollins up and score a huge win. This was a legitimately feel-good moment, as Slater had been trying to make something out of nothing since the Nexus broke up. Surely a win over a rising star like Seth would put him on the right track, eh? Well, let's see. He beat Dolph Ziggler by countout, then went on a mini winning streak on main event, and then he and Titus O'Neil lost a tag team match to Los Matadores. Oh well. Number 9, The Hurricane beats The Rock on Raw. Though he's been back for a couple of pay-per-views, The Rock hasn't had a match on Raw since 2003, with one of his last bouts on the flagship show being against a certain caped crime fighter. In the build to Rock's encounter with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19, he entered into a micro feud with The Hurricane, or as Rocky labeled him, The Hamburglar. This led to a no disqualification match around 3 weeks out from the big night, which, if the Brahma Bull won, he could challenge Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship at Mania. Spoiler, this did not happen. During the match, Austin came out to taunt his rival, which allowed Hurricane to roll up the Scorpion King to score the biggest win of his career. Whilst this moment certainly helped progress the Rock-Austin feud, as it meant that Dwayne was now obliged to fight the Texas Rattlesnake instead, it did very little for Gregory Helms, who didn't even make it onto the Mania card. Still, unless Big Dwayne laces up the boots on the red brand one more time, and let's face it, that's not happening, Hurricane will remain the last person to ever pin The Rock on Raw. And that's the real quiz. Number 8, Ludvig Borger beats Tatanka on Superstars. For the better part of his first 2 years in the company, Native American superstar Tatanka went undefeated. That was until he ran into this Scandinavian brick wall. Ludvig Borger, a Finnish fighter who had been pretty big in New Japan, was brought into the World Wrestling Federation in 1993 as their latest foreign menace heel. Yes, because when I think of America's natural enemies, I too think of Finland. Borger was immediately placed into a feud with Lex Luger, the most American to ever America, and was put over strong by absolutely decimating Tatanka on an October episode of Superstars. The Finn beat his opponent so badly that he was able to pin him with just one finger, snapping his undefeated streak in brutal and dominating fashion. This resulted in Luger pinning Borger in the finale of the Survivor Series main events, but whatever plans the company had for him after this failed to materialize. He got hurt in early 1994, taking him out of a planned WrestleMania match with Earthquake, and would never return to TV, exiting the company later that year. I bet Tatanka was really glad he gave up his mammoth streak so easily, eh? Number 7, Eric Rowan beats Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions 2019. Here's something I totally forgot ever happened. Eric Rowan beat both Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns in the space of 9 days. The former Wyatt family member had joined forces with D-Bry at Royal Rumble 2019, taking up Bryan's Eco Crusade during that period where the WWE Championship was made of hemp. The two continued as a unit after the fact, even winning the SmackDown tag titles together, before Big Ginger turned on Little Ginger off the back of that stupid storyline where Roman Reigns kept getting attacked backstage. You know, the one with that guy who looked like Rowan? Remember how dumb that that was? Anyway, this led to Rowan taking on Reigns at Clash of Champions in a no DQ match, which he won with assistance from a returning Luke Harper. 2 SmackDowns later, he beat Bryan with more help from Brody Lee. This would be as good as it got for Big Red though, as by the end of the year, he was saddled with that god-awful mystery pet gimmick. What a 2019 this guy had. Number 6, Cesaro wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 30. WWE have tried plenty of different tactics over the years to get as many of their performers on WrestleMania as possible, ranging from multi-man ladder matches to huge tag team bouts to the always reliable Battle Royal. The most famous form of this has to be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which made its debut at WrestleMania 30 and was won by everybody's favorite shaven-headed Swiss muscle man Cesaro. In a move nobody saw coming, the Swiss Superman picked up the Big Show and slammed him over the top rope to become the first man to etch his name on the trophy. This felt like the start of something big for the oft-overlooked performer, but by the mere fact that this entry exists, you can probably figure out that it was not. Although he won a match at the next pay-per-view, Cesaro lost a United States Championship match the month after. By Battleground in July, he was filler in yet another Battle Royal, and by SummerSlam, he had been relegated to the pre-show. Hardly Lesnar-like success for the newest Paul Heyman guy, huh? Number 5, Maven beats The Undertaker on SmackDown. In the 2002 Royal Rumble, tough enough winner and owner of the world's shiniest head, Maven shocked the world by eliminating The Undertaker from the marquee match. He then shocked the world again by getting used as a human punching bag by an aggravated dead man. The pair would continue to feud after the Rumble, leading to a Hardcore Championship bout on SmackDown. Yes, The Undertaker was Hardcore Champion at the time, and yes, I'd momentarily forgotten about that too. With a little help from The Rock and his trainer Al Snow, Maven did the unthinkable and beat the Phenom to win the broken belt, putting him in a seriously elite group of wrestlers to have beaten Undertaker for a championship. So, did Maven's career then go the way of Bret Hart, Chris Jericho, or Edge? Well, Maven remained thoroughly embedded in the undercard, with the occasional brief trip to the lower mid-card. He managed to last until 2005 before getting released without ever adding another championship to his resume. Not a terrible run by any means, but not the rub you would expect him to get after repeatedly besting such a legendary figure. Number 4, Vladimir Kozlov beats The Undertaker on SmackDown. For all his historic accomplishments in WWE, The Undertaker was also shoved into some absolutely pointless storylines over the course of his long and illustrious career. Vladimir Kozlov, a Ukrainian performer with a background in kickboxing, turned up in WWE in 2008 and went on an immediate tear. He squashed a whole bunch of jobber wrestlers, from Funaki to Shannon Moore to the mighty Colin Delaney. The big brute first crossed paths with Taker in November when he got a victory over him via DQ. Then, about 3 months later, Kozlov went one better and beat the dead man clean as a sheet on an episode of SmackDown. So where did this go for old Vlad? Well, his next televised match was against Shawn Michaels for the right to fight Taker at WrestleMania, which he lost, and then faced The Undertaker again on SmackDown, which also ended in disaster. So what was the point of him winning in the first place? Well, there really wasn't much of a point. Now, don't you feel happier? Number 3, Otis wins Money in the Bank at Money in the Bank 2020. Since its inception in 2005, perhaps the most shocking conclusion to a Money in the Bank ladder match was when lovable oaf Otis captured the briefcase in 2020. Well, there was that time Brock Lesnar won it without actually being in the match, but that was more infuriating than anything. AJ Styles and Baron Corbin were fighting over the case atop a ladder, causing it to fly out of their grip and into the waiting arms of Otis below. This technically made him the winner, although I would question how not actually unhooking the briefcase counts as winning. Everyone wondered how WWE were going to book the big man becoming world champion, but as it turned out, they just didn't. After having him flounder for 5 months, the company booked Otis to lose his prize to The Miz at Hell in a Cell, bringing his lackluster time as Mr. Money in the Bank to an even more lackluster end. He might still be with the company, but Otis has unfortunately settled firmly into a mid-card role as part of Alpha Academy, his days as a potential world champion feeling like a very long time ago. Number 2, Rico beats Flair on Raw. Just think of all the legendary names who have beaten Ric Flair over the years. Sting, Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage. Now add a wrestling hairdresser to that list. Doesn't quite add up, does it? On the September 16th, 2002 episode of Raw, Nate was put into a match with Rico, former stylist of not at all controversial tag team Billy and Chuck. In this 4-minute match, Flair contemplated using a steel chair to cheat, only to throw the weapon away and get hit by a spinning heel kick, allowing the leopard print enthusiast to score this monumental win. And just how did WWE follow up this red-hot victory? By not giving Rico another televised win for the rest of the year. Way to capitalize, guys. Flair is one of the greatest of all time, so booking him to lose should not be taken lightly. But hey, at least this was only on Raw and not, let's just say the biggest show of the year? Number 1, Fandango beats Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 29. In 2013, the ballroom dance-loving Fandango not only made his in-ring main roster debut, but he did so at WrestleMania 29 in a match against Chris Jericho. And you'll never guess what, he only went and bloody won. In the upset to end all upsets, this rookie with a gimmick that would have been considered corny in 1995 pinned one of the greatest wrestlers to ever lace up a pair of boots at WWE's biggest show. So surely WWE had to have massive plans for Dango, right? 1 month on from this unprecedented moment, Fandango and Jericho had another match at Extreme Rules, which Y2J won. He wouldn't get another pay-per-view win until October's Hell in a Cell, where he and Summer Rae took on the Great Khali and Natalya in a ridiculous mixed tag, and by WrestleMania 30, 1 year on from his mind-blowing debut, he was a bit player in the Andre Battle Royal. In terms of a start to your televised WWE career, you literally could not ask for much more than Fandango got. And yet, somehow, someway, they managed to flush it all down the drain within the space of 12 months.